Hey guys, it's Mark Holthe here, Canadian immigration lawyer, ex-immigration officer, and former former high school teacher, live once again in a spontaneous express entry answer session. Sure, whatever you want to call it. I'm actually going to be going live officially tomorrow at noon Mountain Standard Time with another EE Live Q&A. But just for a few minutes, I thought I'd jump on while I'm waiting for my son to get here to the office to pick me up and just answer a few questions for those who are just happen to be on the site tuning in live. So if you have a few questions that you have about Express Entry that you'd like me to touch on, I've got a few minutes right now while I'm waiting for my son to come pick me up. And there's nothing special about this other than the fact I feel bad about missing it last week. Because I had some family things that came up and I wasn't able to do the live Q&A. And so this is just to let everybody know that I am going to go live officially tomorrow. But right now, while I'm waiting for my son to come, I will field your questions. So if you want to post any questions that you might have that you'd like me to respond to, you can do that. Yeah, you can do that right now. So I've got a few couple thumbs up. I see there are some people that are tuning in here. Just let me know where you're listening from. It has been a really, really good couple weeks here in the Holthe family. Hey, Chuk. We've got Chuka from Nigeria. Hey, welcome. And Marlon. Hey, Marlon. Good to see you, my friend. But yeah, this past week has been pretty cool. We celebrated my mother-in-law's 70th birthday, which was quite fun. Actually, no, I won't show you a picture. She probably wouldn't like me to share it. But my brother-in-law and I, we usually don't always get the best pictures with my wife's side of the family. We're kind of like the outlaws. So this time when we were taking pictures, all the family pictures, I jumped in and grabbed my brother-in-law Spencer, and so we each got a picture with my mother-in-law, just us. Because you know how it is with the outlaws and the in-laws, right? Usually it's the parents and the siblings that all get together and have their pictures, and then the spouses of the siblings are always left out. Well, this time I made sure that Spencer and I were in there and got our pictures taken. It was actually quite funny. Let's see. Thoda says, hi, Mark. What's the processing time for CIO Sydney? You're a PNP applicant. If you are going paper-based, Thoda, you're looking at probably 17, 18, 19 months if it's paper-based. Marlon's in BC. Hi. So I'll just answer that question. Sivanesh, how are you doing? Good to see you. Let's see. Shipu says, hi, if I have an Australian degree of accounting, am I eligible for express entry based on my degree, as I'm looking for direct permanent residency without studying further? Is there any way doing that? Well, Shipu, I can tell you the way that you get into Canada is through express entry, and obviously Australia has a very similar model. And in your situation, how you equate your foreign degree, your Australian degree, is through an educational credential assessment. And that's through one of the organizations, IQAS, ICAS, WES, the designated institutions. They can tell you whether or not that degree, what it would equate to in Canada. But in terms of actually practicing as an accountant, well, that's where you have to go to the licensing board associated with accountants in Canada. All right, Mustafa says, hi, Mark. Hi, Mustafa. Thanks for jumping in. Thanks for joining. Chuka says, please, how can I get a valid job offer from Canadian employers? If I had an answer to that one, Chuka, I would be a millionaire. The reality is it's not easy. And usually individuals that are able to actually make it to Canada as visitors are there. Well, they're basically in a little better position at that stage to be able to actually make a personal contact with that employer. And so how do you get a valid job offer? Well, to a large extent, you get those through personal connections. Now, yes, there are some companies that are recruiting large scale. They go through recruiting companies that that source people from abroad to work for large companies in Canada. So those are always out there. But finding a job, Chuka, is not an easy thing because most Canadian employers don't consider just random resumes from foreign nationals who don't otherwise have authorizations to work in Canada. And for those of you who are actually, I'll show you something that I've created that is pretty awesome and that's slowly starting to pick up speed. And I'm going to share my screen with you so you can see it. It's this right here. And this right here, I got a couple different things going on in the background. That's interesting. I've never really had that before. Let me close this one here. That's overlapping. And there, just that one. That's good. So this is my LMIA guide for high wage positions. So many of you probably have employers who you've reached out to and have asked, what does it take to get you to work in Canada? And then you say, well, it's a labor market impact assessment. You need to get an LMIA. And then the employer says, well, how do I do that? And then you say, well, I don't really know. But now you can say, oh, I know this awesome immigration lawyer who created a do-it-yourself step-by-step guide for employers. And all you need to do is go to his awesome website and purchase the guide, and it's only $300 US, whereas you're probably going to spend, well, I charge my clients over $3,000 to do a labor market impact assessment. So it's a fraction of the cost of actually hiring someone to do it. And so that is usually what I tell people. So keep that in mind, and I'll just post when it comes to the actual, let me go back here to the main site. I know I'm not sharing this with you guys right now, but what I'm going to do is I'm just going to post a link right in the comment section here for how you can access this. And so share this with your employers, and then they will be in a position to know exactly what they need to do to be able to hire you. And is it easy? No, it's most definitely not easy. And I think you guys know that. And that's part of the reason why employers are really reluctant to go through the process. It costs $1,000 if they're actually getting a work permit for you. And it's not easy. All right, let's see what else we got here as I scroll back up. Noah says, hi, Mark. How have you been? I have been really good, my friend. I made it to the gym this morning, which was quite a miracle. What else have I done? Oh, a week ago, I guess it was a little bit over a week ago, I went down to Helena. Oh, did I tell you guys about my experience going through the U.S. border when I was pulled over and sent in for secondary inspection? I don't think I told you guys about that. Well, let me know. Just post in the comments below if I had mentioned that to you guys in a past EE Live Q&A. I don't think I did. So keep that in mind. Hey, Ralph. Hey, my bud. There's Ralph. And look there's Jaden in your picture. I love that. Jaden is my namesake. Jaden Markansky, one of the pride and joys of my life. Thoda says, thank you so much. My status eligibility is passed, criminality passed, security not initiated. Can you please let me know how long it takes to indicate according to your experience? Thanks, Mark. I can't even tell you, Thoda, because every application is a little bit different, and largely it depends on your country and whether or not they're cooperating, because you've indicated that security has not been initiated, and often that's what delays the process. One, if there's something they don't believe is accurate in your application and they have to do further investigations, or in the case of security, if your country you're coming from doesn't cooperate very well with Canada to get the information that we need. And so those things can delay it. But usually when it just depends overall, like I said, anywhere from 17 to 19 months, and people are probably wondering, Mark, where are you getting these figures? Well, let's just go right here, and I'm going to open up a new window, and it's pretty simple. I'm going to put IRCC processing times right there. And there it is, and we're going to check for Thoda, and she can look at this just as well as anybody else. We're going to economic immigration, we're going to provincial nominees, and if it's not under the express entry stream, online via express entry, no, it's not. Have you already applied? I already applied, and the processing times you can see right now are at 18 months. So that's where we're at. And when was this last updated? November the 12th. So just a couple days ago. All right. Okay, let's jump back and answer some more questions. I don't think my son is pulled up yet. So we'll see. He's supposed to send me a text when he gets here. Maybe he'll bang on the window here. But hey, I've got time to kill, so let's answer some more questions. Shivanesh says, for proof of funds, if I have 3 bank accounts, do I need to get letters from all the banks or one from where I have actual sufficient funds? That's actually a really good question. What I typically do is I definitely disclose everything because that's what is required. That's what's requested. I just had a consult today. I think I had 6 consults today with all of you awesome people. And one of the questions was from an individual who had actually already paid a consultant like $4,000 plus to represent them, and he had a whole bunch of questions that he had doubts and concerns about. It's quite ironic that after retaining other counsel, that he's was hiring, to be basically paying money to book a consult with me. I was very happy to help him in every way, but one of the questions he had was about proof of funds and whether or not you need to actually provide evidence for each of the various accounts that you have, including loans and other obligations, credit cards, etc. And obviously for a credit card, you're not going to be able to get a reference letter because they don't work that way. Well, I take the position that you need to provide proof of everything that you have, and if it asks for all the bank accounts, then you need to provide them. But as far as a full comprehensive letter that says the average balance for the past 6 months, I only usually do that with the sources of funds that I want to claim for proof of funds. If I have other bank accounts that have just nominal amounts in them, then a bank statement is usually all I will include for those. Oh, got something in my eye there. So yeah, so Sivanesh, I think basically in your situation, the main letter is the most important, but I would definitely disclose the other stuff. All right. Saidu says, hi, how are you? I'm doing great, my friend. Rosie says, hey, Mark, greetings from Lincoln, Nebraska. Awesome. Fantastic. Omar says, I want to ask you something about immigration. It's easy for the Egyptian to get a job there. Nope, it's not, my friend. It is not an easy thing for anyone to get a job in Canada. Mustafa says, how can I know that I have reached 1,560 hours in Canadian experience in 1 year? Sometimes I work more than 30 hours a week, sometimes less. Thank you so much. Well, at the end of the day, the most important part is that whatever you're working, that you're meeting at least 30 hours a week. And obviously, you're going to be tracking your hours. So that's one way that you do. And 1,560 hours is the bare minimum. That means, like you've identified here, at least 30 hours a week. And so if you look at any individuals that are working in part-time positions, you'll see that the instructions from the government, and if we flip let me just show you here. We're going to flip this over. We're going to open it up. We're going to go to the Federal Skilled Worker Program eligibility, and let's take a look at the work history information that they have. So when you're claiming your skilled work experience, you'll see here that if it is part-time, it actually allows you to work more or less than 15 hours as long as it adds up to 1,560 hours. And so usually what I do when I'm treating that is if sometimes you'll have hours maybe in a week where you work less than those 30. But the key is that on average, you need to have worked at least 1,560 hours. So the only way to do that is to tally it up, total it up. And when it comes to time, remember that you can't work more hours. So in other words, 1,560 hours. You can't claim that any hours above 80, you can see right down here, they actually don't include. So if you work 60 hours and you try to 60 hours a week and you try to claim that in 6 months, that doesn't work. You have to actually work the full year. So in your case, what you're referring to, and let me just jump right back up here to Mustafa. In your case, it has to be for a full year. And then I'm assuming that on average, if you average out the weeks that you work less and the weeks that you worked more, on average, it's going to be 30 hours. And if that is what you're putting in your reference letter, you're going to indicate that on average, I worked 30 hours a week. All right, great question. All right, let's see who's next here. And once again, oh, there's the sign. My son says I'm in the back. So I'm going to type in here, I'm on my way out, to my son who's coming here to pick me up. So I'm going to actually cut her off right there because I don't want to make him wait. But tomorrow at noon, Mountain Standard Time, I am going to do another EE Live Q&A right here on the Canadian Immigration Institute Facebook page. So please join me. If you have a question that you want to have me respond to, then right here is how you do it. Send an email right now to stephanie@stringham.ca. For any of you here that have additional questions that I obviously was not able to get to right now, send an email to stephanie@stringham.ca and put EE Live Q&A in the subject line. And then first thing tomorrow, I'm going to go through all of these questions. Yours may or may not get answered in this one because I get so many, but tomorrow I will be answering them. So those of you who might not be available at noon tomorrow to watch, then stay tuned and you can watch it as a recording here. It'll be stored right on the Canadian Immigration Institute Facebook page. as well as I'm going to push it over to the YouTube channel. And yes, 2 weeks ago, I forgot to push it over. Life is just so busy. I've got so much going on. But tomorrow I've got some really exciting things to talk to you about. And one of them was my experience going through the US border into the US, and just some tips and strategies I have for all of you guys as you're navigating ports of entry. But that will wait till tomorrow at noon. So thanks for tuning in, guys. I will see you all tomorrow. Take care.